Recording. All right, this is episode 11
11.
of Social Leverage, and we're talking about Facebook algorithms, and what else are we talking about? We're also talking about the Instagram stories
And social media changes.
and social media changes. So,
Right.
do you want to start?
You know, I've been on Facebook probably almost 10 years now, and they've gone through many algorithm changes, and every time they make a change, the world goes crazy. And honestly, you know, this last change affected, I think, more of how you post, because you know it's Facebook says it's now gearing most of your posts or most of what you're posting to friends and family first,
Yeah.
because that's what Facebook eventually, you know, it was, you know, incidentally, that was what it was created for.
Right.
All those years ago, and then they wanted to be all things to all people, and
They wanted to be Google, basically.
Right. But here's the thing, and this is what I've always preached about, is that if you educate, entertain, and engage your audience to be real and authentic, it doesn't matter how many times they change your algorithm, your posts are always going to get to the people that are going to be following you.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody's going to see your posts, but the people, the people that, you know, want to see what you're offering, want to see what you're talking about, you know, will have the opportunity to see your posts. And
yeah.
You know, there's a simple way to make sure that everybody is seeing your posts, and that is to tell them to go up top and press the button that says "See first."
Yeah.
And that way, your stuff is always up on the stream first.
And also, yeah, a lot of the people I work with advertise almost everything. Whether it's like a carousel ad or a boosted post just to get the engagement up. So it's going out to the audience, but also another thing that just rolled out, it's not really an algorithm change. Well, it is an algorithm change, but it's not a bad one that I think. Facebook's reducing clickbait, which will be really helpful because how many sites do we know that just post junk crap that, you know, it leads to nothing and no value. And even in marketing, in the marketing world, there's a lot of people who just post a bunch of junk that nobody really looks at or whatever. So that will be a big thing to think about. I work with a lot of clients who are in the media aggregate publishing space, which means that a lot of the content is authority content. And so a lot of times they will use clickbait titles to get people to click, even though the article itself isn't junk. It's not bad content. It's a great article. It's great content. It's blah, blah, blah. But the titles, clickbait, Facebook, Google, all of that, they're not prioritizing that anymore. So I think that's a good thing.
And what I've discovered is that Facebook is trying to keep everybody central to what's going on in Facebook land, which means that, you know, third-party links going out somewhere else, you know, a lot of those links are being restricted. So maybe only 3 people see those links that you post to instead of, you know, 300 that maybe follow you.
Right.
And, you know, that may be disheartening, but there are ways around that. And, you know, if you have a blog that you really want to drive attention to, you can still put it out there. You can still, you know, get people to engage in it. But what I would tell you is, instead of just putting the link, you know, put a picture, put more information in that post that's going to give people, you know, a compelling reason why they need to click.
Yeah.
Because if it's just the link and say, hey, you know, see my latest blog, it's not going to get traffic. If you put a picture, if you put, you know, a paragraph and kind of explained it, you know, that blog to people, it's going to have, you know, more engagement, and it's actually going to get shared around better.
Right. And also have an informative title that speaks directly to a pain point or a frustration or, even the information that your type of client wants to know. Like I know a lot of my articles tend to be along the lines of how to solve, XYZ problem, how to generate engagement on your group, how to increase, clicks on your Twitter, whatever it is. Have the title address the pain and the solution you're about to provide. And I know most of the people on my list are artists, so coaches, business space people, and so clickbait really isn't what you're going for, and you're going for the article views to relevant people who would want to buy your stuff, so it's not really relevant in terms of you're not doing clickbait anyway. But if you hear a lot of things about all these catchy titles and creating catchy this and stuff, realize that you don't have to go that route. I was thinking BuzzFeed is borderline clickbait, but they've established such a huge following of entertaining content that's not, like you could say it doesn't really have much substance, but because they provide entertainment value and they pull through with the content, and it's either funny or it's, whatever it is, they're trying to pull an emotion out. I wouldn't classify it too much under clickbait, but it's entertaining. And so you might study some of their articles and headlines to create compelling titles without necessarily having it be junk. Like, I can never think of an example when I have to, but you can just like scroll through Twitter all day long and see clickbait.
And if you see a general downturn in the amount of engagement on your fan page from Facebook, it's probably because this new algorithm, went through and, the changes got applied to your site. People aren't seeing your stuff because, one, it's not, it's not informative. It's not educational. It's not providing any entertainment or any value whatsoever.
Yeah.
And although you might think it has some type of substance, some meat and potatoes there, Facebook, has that algorithm there for a reason.
Yeah.
And they want people to, get value. They want people to, if you're not going to provide the right value, they're going to show, you other pages that might, entertain you better. So what I would suggest, if you have a downturn in engagement, go through your posts, see which ones need tweaked, and then go through and make those changes. Be more compelling, be more, entertaining, be more, engaging of some type, because you don't want to lose those followers that you've probably spent years gaining.
Yeah. And they announced another drop in organic reach again. So that, for a lot of people freaking out and being like, well, like nobody was seeing this anyway, what do I do? This is a pretty good time to assess your strategy in terms of how you're getting people to engage, or whether it's even relevant for you to have people engaging on your page, as opposed to, having the Facebook group. We covered on one of our shows the benefits of having a Facebook group over a page, which we'll link when this is a recording, so that you can.
I think that was episode 2.
Yeah, and so the benefit there is that it's not a page and it's not about direct selling. It's about community building, which is what Facebook wants. It's what Facebook is about right now. And so what they're doing is they're getting back to Facebook being an interaction platform as opposed to a selling platform. So the next obvious step to that is boosting the group format and making that more visible. So I know one of our clients, we just maintain the Facebook page. We do like maybe a post every couple days, and most of our energy goes into those groups, and those groups create high return because the community is super, super, super engaged, highly engaged. And so we don't, like, we sell our services, but the point of the group itself is to improve your marketing and all that fun stuff, build your funnels, all that. But because we're doing it in a value first way, we're able to and the group itself is already curated of targeted members, we're able to get much better performance there than just organically posting stuff on Facebook.
You know, one of my clients, cell phone's too close. One of my clients was posting every day, and he suggested that we increase that and post twice a day. And I said, okay, we can do that. You know, we can post as many times as you want, but you're going to realize that, you know, you've trained these people to accept one post a day from you.
Yeah.
So when you go to 2 posts a day, now they're going to get a little, you know, they're going to feel like you're spamming them. So what we did is we kind of went back to the basics, to when he started posting years ago and taking some of that older content and resharing.
Mm-hmm.
And people like that because, you know, over the last year, he kind of, you know, made his ads more glossy, made them more, you know, and they're nice, but, you know, Facebook, social media is all about being real. You know, so when we went back to the basics and took some of his old stuff and reshared it, it had a higher engagement now than it did back then.
Right.
But his glossy stuff had a lower engagement because people didn't like it.
Right. Yeah. So
we're slowly replacing some of the stuff that he paid this, you know, marketer to gloss over, and we're replacing it with some of the old stuff, and the engagement's going back up. You know, people are thinking, hey, this is real stuff. You know, more emotional, more raw, and that was what people liked about him.
Right.
So, you know, if in your evolution of social media, you've gone from this raw, you know, personal touch posting to more of a glossy marketing, you know, agency feel, and people don't like it, then go back.
Yeah. And there's a way you can transition so that, because, you know, as your business evolves and you become more sophisticated in the way that you perform, and maybe your design preferences change and maybe your mission evolves a bit more, there's a way you can just transition into that just by slowly starting to, you know, elevate your copy, elevate your images, create clearer images. And it doesn't have to be this clean cut that just seems like, wow, at first it was this, and now it immediately looks like you hired, you know, a $10,000 a month agency to overhaul it. You can slowly start incorporating different aspects so that you can make that transition, and it's not this awkward, what just happened. Yesterday it was 1 post, and today it's like 5 posts, and they all don't feel like they're from you anymore. So that's definitely one thing. I know I did that for my business when I switched from sort of going freelancer to a more agency feel, because I wanted that feel. And so it just depends on some of your goals there. One thing with Facebook too is remember that not everyone who sees, you know, your 1 post a day will necessarily see your 2 posts a day. When you jump to that, they still might miss it. They still might just see 1 a day, because when you look at the way just a normal person scrolls through your Facebook timeline, they're going through a timeline. So they're scrolling with their phone or their computer, and they're just seeing what pops up in their scroll. And so that's where you get this huge drop off, because Facebook is prioritizing friends. So when I scroll, like, I see Rob's stuff and I see my other friends' stuff. And these days, I mean, I probably see pages more than most people because I'm directly subscribed to all my client pages, so I know what's going out. But your average Facebook users experience, they're seeing a lot of their friends' stuff first before they ever, and group stuff before they ever see page stuff. So it is okay to bump some of that up. Just don't go from like 1 a day to 5 a day. You know, you just stagger that, stage that a bit. But that's a lot on Facebook. I mean, the thing about the Facebook algorithm is it's always changing. It's an evolving thing. The platform's an evolving thing. Don't freak out when it changes. Learn how to work with that change. Learn how you can create better content. So right now, it's all about how can you provide valuable, helpful content that people will read. That's not clickbaity. So create content that fits that mold, and when they switch it up again, and probably like 2 weeks from now, there's going to have a different update. Just read it, look at the cues, and then adjust accordingly as you need to. And that's basically everything about the algorithm.
Last year when they changed their algorithm, you know, one of the workarounds was people could boost their post a little bit to get engagement. and then the organics would take over. And now it's not true anymore.
Yeah.
So you have all these people now spending gobs of money on boosting, and they don't need to do that.
Right.
So you're going to have to really, gauge how the algorithm works with your particular business. But once you figure it out, the sky's the limit, and people will follow you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now we should talk about Instagram stories.
Instagram, yeah. Okay.
I know you've used it. I have not used it.
I have used it, a few times. We talked about Snapchat, in one of our. We talked about Instagram and Snapchat on one of our episodes, and
we talk about everything on all our episodes.
Yeah, we talk about everything. But here's the thing: is that after we talked about Instagram, Instagram came out with stories, very similar to Snapchat. Where you post your.
No, not very similar. The exact same thing onto Snapchat, onto Instagram.
Although they don't have some of the overlays and the facial whatever they're called.
The one thing I'm hearing is a lot of people are getting more views on Instagram than they're getting on Snapchat. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is Instagram. When you sign up for Instagram, or you've been on Instagram for a while, you probably already have a following. And I have hundreds and hundreds of people that follow me on Instagram, where it's more of a I got to pull teeth to get people to follow me on Snapchat.
Right. Well, there's a thing.
I think they're already familiar with Instagram, and they know how it works.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit more comfortable with it.
There's an app. For talking about Snapchat for a second, for growing. There's a Snap. There's an app called Ghost Codes that helps you grow it. I posted in some Snapchat marketing group about it, and Ghost Codes allows you to create like a profile and download codes of other people who Snapchat, and it allows you to follow them pretty quickly, and then they can find you too. And so that's there's a bunch of third-party apps like that out there. What I don't like about the story feature of Snapchat and Instagram is that you can't measure it, and I don't like not being able to measure something. I don't like not seeing a graph of numbers about what's happening. Like on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, even though I don't use LinkedIn that much, but on Facebook and Twitter, you get the analytics of who's seeing what, and I like that. I like knowing if I tweet something at 3 p.m. or 3:15, it gets a lot more engagement than at 12. So that's a really good thing to know. But with Snapchat and Instagram, you kind of have to play it by ear, do a lot of testing, and take a lot of time up front to figure all that out.
If I was never one to be hung up on analytics, and it's good to know when your followers are looking at your feeds, but I don't get hung up on the numbers, because it just seems like on a weekly basis that could change. So if for the last year, if for the last year, my audience has been looking at my snaps, or not my snaps, my Facebook or my Instagram at 9 o'clock in the morning, that's what I'm going to keep on doing. Mm-hmm. If for any reason now, oh, well, Rob, the majority of your watchers have been women between this age and this age, but now they're men between this age and this age, and now they're watching it at 11:30. I'm like, how did that happen?
Right.
So, maybe you have to readjust some of the posts that you're putting out there. Maybe they're too heavy. The language that you're using is more heavily men driven instead of female driven. So look at how you're posting, and then look at your analytics.
And look at the type of person. Something that's very important that we touch on once in a while, but we're going to have a whole episode on it. We probably should. But knowing who your avatar is and what they respond to. And it's not about just posting things because you want people to like it or comment on it or engage with it. It's about knowing what makes your client avatar take action, because the more they say yes, even if it's yes to clicking a link on a tweet or clicking the link in your Instagram bio or screenshotting a Snapchat so they can go to your promotion or whatever, even if it's just that, it's getting them in the habit of saying yes and creating content that you can help them and is valuable for them, and they continue to buy into your brand. And that's what it's all about, really. It's not about, oh, I have 10,000 likes or whatever, because that's menial. Out of those 10,000 likes, maybe, you know, a fraction of that is your actual audience, but you're getting them pulled into your brand in an authentic way, and you need to know what makes them respond and what adds value to their day, even if it's like a quick 30 seconds of value.
Right. And, you know, when you list your personalities and your what you like on your posts, Facebook takes that into consideration.
Yeah.
So when I told, you know, everybody that I was caffeine free, you know, starting in March, and then I'm not drinking caffeine or coffee and Coke and iced tea, a lot of
the dark side.
I know a lot of my I see from people now don't contain iced tea, don't contain, you know, and it's like there was a whole there in who I was watching or
that explains
following.
why you stopped liking all my coffee posts. God.
And it's like I don't see your stuff, I don't see his stuff, I don't, and it's like the universe told Facebook, this guy is not worthy anymore of his posts. Don't let him see anything. And you know, that in itself, when you tell Facebook something, yeah, sometimes, you know, I wish they weren't this all-seeing entity. But
the thing the thing I always tell clients, especially for the personal side of Facebook, because this is a free service, so don't complain too much. Yes, it is a pay-to-play game, but if you think about it, never in history has it been easier to pay-to-play. You know, I mean, you can literally do $5 boosted posts and, you know, skyrocket your engagement on Facebook. Is it the best strategy in the world? No, but if that's all you can afford, stop going to Starbucks and put it in Facebook ads instead. You know, if that's all you can do, do that. And still, like, if you're gonna play the TV advertisement, you're still gonna have to be like a gazillionaire and having a very successful business, and you're going to have to know that you're going to get a return for that. Whereas on Facebook, it allows you to test for a very low price. And I haven't done much Instagram advertising. Have you?
No, but here's the thing, you know, I think that, you know, people have been drawn to the advertising on social media bandwagon, and they forgot to collect email addresses.
Yes.
And they forgot to, you know, send out emails every week to their client base. Yeah. And, you know, I ask people, hey, why don't you have an opt-in on your website? Why don't you, you know, share that on your Facebook? Why don't you do, oh, I don't do that anymore because running ads is so much easier. Yeah, but you're not collecting emails.
You can start an email list for free using MailChimp.
Yeah.
And it's a really good system. Very easy to use. And so use MailMunch plugin if you're on WordPress. Use the MailMunch plugin. Create a little pop-up that's like, if you sign up for my list, you get a free, you know, PDF or video series or, you know, 15-minute phone call. Whatever action you want that person to take, they can get it. And they sign up to your list and then be in regular communication with them. And link to your social media.
Right.
Whether it's a group or a page or wherever you want that person to engage, link to it.
And, you know, once you collect email addresses, you can actually enter those email addresses into your Facebook advertising and directly market to those people that have supplied you with email addresses. And now it makes your marketing 10 times more effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but I think people have put so much faith into social media that they've forgotten the basics of marketing.
Yep. And so really what works on It's hard. It's really hard to explain because it's like, how do you tell somebody how to be human? But that's what it's about.
Well, you know, I try to explain to lawyers and doctors how to be human all the time, you know, because they've gone to the Vulcan school of no emotion. You know,
Yeah.
everything that they do, I mean, they have lousy bedside manner. They're just so stiff when they're talking to you. They use these big words that no one understands. You know, there's no
It's
logic,
true.
you know, so when you're doing Facebook, when you're doing Instagram, whether you're doing Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, understand the audience that's following you. You know, and just because you share something on Facebook, you know, doesn't mean you can't share it somewhere else, but know the audience that's responding.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if I share something on Facebook and it gets a great engagement, it may not get the same engagement on Twitter or LinkedIn. You know, if I share a picture on Facebook, you know, there are ways to make that picture so much better on Instagram. And we've covered that in other episodes. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think what happens is people become, you know, overwhelmed
Yeah.
with the amount of time that's needed to create content, to filter content, to make sure that the content is working correctly. And then when they do get likes, posts, comments, you know, they don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
And then they don't ask for emails. Then they don't ask for action. They don't do anything, and then they just keep posting every day in hopes that people will call them on the phone.
And really, if you feel that way, totally overwhelmed with everything you need to keep up with, strip it down to focusing on your email list and whatever platform is creating the best engagement for you at the time. So look at your analytics, look at sort of the engagement streams like on Instagram or whatever, look at the number of likes you've gotten over the last few weeks, see where you're getting the most reaction from people and focus on that. That doesn't necessarily mean drop everything else, but it just means focus your energy on what's working, because a lot of times people get really frustrated and they stop everything because they think nothing is working, when really the numbers are just saying, no, you need to focus on, you know, building your Facebook group, or you need to stop using Facebook and focus on Snapchat because people are actually messaging you and, you know, you're actually making sales there, or you need to stop and do Instagram, whatever it is for you. Email lists, and if you're totally overwhelmed, just focus on one platform at a time. That's going to be a lot better for you in the long run if you can master one of those and get a system where you're getting people to opt in.
You know, and one of the things, though, is if you're really good at Snapchat or Instagram, don't go on Facebook and say, follow me on Instagram. Look at my newest post on Instagram. Do this on Instagram. And everybody's going to look and say, wait a minute, that's all he's talking about is Snapchat or Instagram. Why should I go there? I'm already comfortable on Facebook.
Right.
If you're on Facebook, it's okay once a week to say, you know, hey, this is Snapchat Saturday. We're going to share something from Snapchat. We want you to join our adventure over there, you know, but don't say it every single day.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people are going to say, well, you have no interest in Facebook. Everything that you want to do is on Instagram or Snapchat. And that's how you scare people away.
Yeah. And that's not where most people want to be. Like, people are comfortable with the site that their core people they interact with are on, and not everybody cares about all the other stuff. And you have to remember that as a business owner, you eventually want to be everywhere in terms of, you know, just gaining exposure. And, you know, once your business starts growing, you'll be able to hire people or hire a company, outsource, all that stuff, all that fun stuff. But initially, you have to remember that your fans are not necessarily business owners. I mean, unless you're a business coach or a marketer who sells services to businesses, your fans aren't necessarily business people, which means they don't need to be on every single platform at all. I mean, the average person probably spends time on between like maybe one or two platforms total. I mean, you talk to a lot of people who are not in the business world, and they're either just on Facebook or Snapchat, or they only Instagram, or, I mean, if you're serving millennial kids, it's mainly Snapchat or Instagram. You ask them about their Facebook and they're just like, what are you talking about? That's for old people. right? And so you have to think about your demographic and where do they spend time, because it's not everywhere for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that a lot of the millennials here don't even get on Facebook anymore. They get on Instagram, they get on Snapchat, and that's the two things that they go after. And although you don't get on Snapchat anymore, you don't get on Instagram. That's you.
Yeah. So
but Instagram, I think, with their stories trying to be more like Snapchat, I'm not sure, how that's going to play out, because there's still no way to measure that engagement.
right.
And
They are actually introducing basic analytics on Instagram. I think if you upgrade, like if you change your profile to the business account, but it's very basic analytics, and it's really nothing that you can't get by just glancing at your profile yourself. It's like X amount of people liked this, and I'm like, well, I could have just, seen that myself. So they're starting to introduce it, and I wouldn't be surprised if that also translates to the story side of things. But what I'm seeing a lot of is people posting the exact same style of content that they do on Snapchat onto Instagram. And you have to remember that people are on Instagram for the Instagram experience, not for the Snapchat experience. Even though the story thing is copied and all that stuff, they still want. So if you're a photographer and you use your Snapchat more for behind the scenes of photo shoots and to goof around and to, show people the messy shots. Well, Instagram is still right now a place where you push your most professional self in terms of design and quality. So the stories keep that in mind in terms of it's not necessarily always the place, depending on your niche, where you just go post all the junk stuff to that story. And if you have people who follow you on Snapchat, you don't want the exact same thing on Instagram, because people are just like, what's the point in watching his stories? I see it on Snapchat anyway, so what's the point?
Right. I mean, I've followed a few people where they'll share their Snapchat stories and then they'll put it on Instagram and then they share it to Facebook. And now I've seen it 3 times. And it's like,
don't do that. People want to see you in context to your platform. And they want to see you in context to what they like seeing on that platform. So, I mean, before I engage with anything, if I'm new to a platform, I try and see what other people in my particular niche are doing that are popular, just to get a feel for what do people like, what are people looking for, what kind of experience do they want out of, following someone on this platform. And a lot of times you'll find that, and you'll be able to twist that into sort of your authentic business and story and what you want to tell. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, they panic. And then as soon as they hear algorithm change, they realize that, they're going to have to hire a professional, or they're going to have to do this, or they're going to have to post more, they're going to have to, create different content. And that's not always true. Sometimes you just have to make some minor changes, some minor tweaks, and you're back on track. You're back, getting some engagement, and you're making your fans happy. But posting the same stuff across multiple, channels is not the right way to do it.
Right.
Sadly. I wish we could, because it'd make my job so much easier.
But then there wouldn't be a point in having all those different channels.
Right. But,
it'd just be, well, why bother with Instagram? I'm already on Facebook because I see all the same stuff. And that's something to be careful of too. Always pushing everything that you post on Instagram to your Facebook. Like, you can do it if you want. Obviously, they have the option, but you might do like every third image you'll push it to Facebook, or every the frequency. Monitor your frequency, because you can get away with posting a lot more on Instagram than you can on Facebook. And so if people are constantly seeing this photo from Instagram, they'll just be like, well, if I wanted to follow him on Instagram, I would, but I don't. Right.
And if you're going to post to Instagram first, where you're going to use all the hashtags, then keep it on Instagram. If you're going to post a picture on Instagram and you're not going to use all the hashtags, then you can share it, because Facebook is getting rid of a lot of the hashtag trackers. They're not even going to put preference on those hashtags anymore. They're going to,
I mean, the only time they really pay attention to a hashtag on Facebook is when it's trending. Like when it's a trending topic. I can't think of one right now just because it's been a while since a hashtag. And a lot of the times they'll take some of the top trending hashtags on Twitter and they'll say, everybody's talking about this. I know they do a lot of it for the national days, like it's National Ice Cream Day or whatever, and they'll have that in the little trending section. But yeah, hashtags, honestly, the only time I use hashtags on Facebook is to make a point. Like hashtag mic drop or hashtag, pro tip.
I missed the ice cream day.
I think it was like yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't know.
But anyway, and that's the problem sometimes, is that, there are so many different days that we're celebrating different things. People, either you're taking advantage of those days and letting people know, hey, it's ice cream day, or it's this day, or it's this left-handers day, or whatever you want to do, but then again, there are people that never celebrate any day. They're not getting engagement whatsoever. And then they say, oh, social media doesn't work.
Right.
It does work. You just have to, change the way you're doing things.
Yeah. And you don't have to do everything. Like, you don't have to engage with every single day. You can do the ones that are relevant for your business or that are fun. Just because it's National Chocolate Chip Day and yet you don't care about that, or your clients don't really care about that, you don't have to post anything like that. But you could just decide, you know what, it's National Ice Cream Day and I love ice cream, and I do this to create a little bit of buzz and excitement, and it's fun, because that's what social media is about. That's what people don't really want to go on social media to be taught something. That just is a side benefit of being on there.
And lately, I think people are getting swamped with political and religious posts.
Yes.
And, if it wasn't the political season this year for the election, I would say, fine, politics is open. Go ahead, tell people what you think, what you like. I even mentioned it in my book, but nowadays, right now, people are getting violent. They're blocking people. They're unfriending people. They're cursing on social media. And honestly, you don't need that.
Yeah.
And so if you see someone that's doing that on your post, or they get offensive for some reason, it's okay to delete them. It's okay to block them.
Especially if it's on your business page and you didn't invite that conversation. Because
right.
Then it just goes to, well, you're being irrelevant, and go pick a fight with somebody else who wants to pick a fight if that's what you're going to do. But don't do it on my page. Is my table. Get out.
Right. And it's very okay to go through and delete followers that, are being derogatory or being, rude or posting stuff that they really don't understand or it's just, against what you stand for. So, get rid of them. It's okay to do that. Go, you can block them off your fan page. You can block them off your group page. And, you're doing that for the benefit of the others to enjoy coming to your page.
Mm-hmm.
So if one or two people are loudmouths, get rid of them, because the people that didn't want to comment for fear of getting a backlash are now going to come out and say, look, now I find this is pleasant. I can stay here. I can post.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so much easier for you.
Yeah. And sometimes you want to feel the situation out, because sometimes you want to give someone the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're being tongue in cheek. I know on one of our pages, sometimes people will come in and drop a snide comment, and the first time we typically let it slide and just assume, they're just being, You know, because sometimes people aren't, we can't hear tone, so sometimes people are just being funny, and in their mind they know that, but when we read it, it's just sort of like, wait, what do you mean? Are you being malicious, or are you just being tongue-in-cheek humor? And so on some cases where that happens, we have, as a page, we have reached out to them, because when someone comments, if you're on a page, it has the option to either reply to that comment or reply privately, which makes it a private message. And so sometimes we just send a quick note saying, hey, we don't really use that type of language on this page. That's not what it's about. It was out of context. We were just wanted to let you know that, you know, we don't know what this meant. And most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, we get a message back saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that way. I'll just go remove the comment. And it works out for the best. And so sometimes it's just people, they just found your post and they were like, I'm going to go off on that.
Now, Instagram, though, is doing something a little different. And even though Instagram is owned by Facebook, aren't they rolling out a comment disabling process?
They are. And I think, I haven't seen it, they're only doing it on celebrity accounts right now before they start rolling it out to everybody. But I believe that it is per post. So as opposed to just like account wide.
So we can post a picture and you can like it, but you just can't comment on it.
Yeah. So that'll be cool, because I have noticed that you can get a ton of likes on Instagram, and that's cool, but a lot of the comments tend to be lower quality. Like, you know, like back, or follow me, or I commented first. It's like this weird phenomenon where people think that it's an achievement to comment first on a photo, and it's just kind of weird. And that's the type of comment that you don't really want, because it doesn't really help you or them.
How will that affect your own commenting on your own post?
You can still have a caption. So, yeah. So,
you know, in one of our episodes, we shared a strategy, kind of a 5-15 rule of hashtag posting. And, you know, but the first 5 hashtags would go into your description, and the next 15 hashtags would go into your comment, which wouldn't be able to be used now because you've disabled the comment feature.
Yeah, exactly. So and I don't know, I won't know until that rolls out if like you can make a second comment because you're your own admin, but I think it just disables it for everyone. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll do an episode once that actually rolls out.
Yeah, and you know, and for those that are using the Instagram stories, you know, tell us what you feel about them. I mean, you know, are you getting a better response on them versus Snapchat? You know, if you use Snapchat, you know, I became so ingrained using Snapchat that when I went back to Instagram, Instagram felt different because it wasn't the same Instagram, because before I could just share a picture, throw my hashtags up there, you know, and I would get a whole bunch of likes and comments. And now it's like they're there on the stories, and it's like I'm not getting the same interaction. Right. You know, so for me, Snapchat was designed for disposable or you know, deletable posts that delete themselves after 24 hours. Instagram was created to share, you know, your photo memories that are supposed to last. You know, but now Instagram is creating for themselves a whole different entity, and so now you can either, you know, have the deletable photos, you know, that disappear in 24 hours, or you know, put them in your regular Instagram, which it's kind of like Batman, a dual identity. You know, you got Bruce Wayne over here, you got Batman over here. Which one are you going to be today? Whereas Snapchat, I already know what I want to be. You know, so it's I don't know, it's a little different. And for all you
Superman fans who are totally repulsed by that, it's like Clark Kent or Superman.
Yeah, so you know, it's Instagram, I think, is because they're owned by Facebook, is trying to be more things to more people, and I don't think that it's going to work the way they want.
They're really interesting because I keep hearing a lot more positive about it. I don't think it's my preference for the platform, but it'll be really interesting to see how that evolves and plays out. Because you know that once they launch stories, they're going to then have filters and then they're going to have all this other stuff, to add on. And it'll be cool to see play out. And if you're using it successfully, I'd love to hear how you're doing that because I personally don't really want to use the platform for myself right now at this point. For me, it's another distraction. But if you're getting a lot of engagement, a lot of shares or whatever from it, I'd love to hear about that.
And I know some of the doctors now are starting to use Snapchat to go into the OR and show their patients what's happening, what they're operating on, and that's pretty cool. Because it gives people a down to earth, aspect of how their surgery is going to play out. But, you can't be doing that with 6 different phones. Oh, wait, I got to do it on Snapchat. I got to do it on Instagram. I got to do it over here. And you're never going to get any of your surgeries done. So,
this guy's sitting there in pain for the sake of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I think you really have to judge the channels that you really wouldn't be on. If it's and I always recommend Facebook, but there are people that have successful businesses that just run Instagram. When I was in El Paso, there was a restaurant that we went to that just utilizes Instagram, and they have thousands of followers. They don't do Facebook, they don't do Twitter, and for them, Instagram is that go-to social network that really gets clients to come in because all they're doing is posting pictures of food. And, that's what people want,
That's what Instagram's about. Photos of food.
That's right. So,
selfies, food, and photography. Good photography.
If you want to leverage, what you're doing on social media, look at the networks that you want to be on. Study them. Instagram is for this. Facebook is for this. Twitter is for this. Utilize them to the best of your ability. And when they change their algorithms, you'll be ready because you're going to be focusing on education, entertainment, and engagement, and making it real, for your fans and followers. It's not about, constantly marketing to them.
And when you see, beware of the comparison loop that people get into. It's a vicious cycle where you see somebody else who's killing it and they're everywhere. Well, they didn't start everywhere. They started on one platform, they built it, and then they grew incrementally. And, it's like that quote, it's like, don't judge your life based on, somebody who's succeeding already. You're on the journey, you're just starting. They've been maybe doing this for several years. And so obviously they have built a platform. Like, it would be worrisome if you're doing something for, even 6 months and getting no results. Like that should be more of a red flag than, oh my God, this makeup blogger has thousands of subscribers and, I just started yesterday and don't even have one yet. Like, obviously, like that's very clear. You haven't built a following. They have for years. And so don't get into that comparison loop that, sometimes social media makes us feel like, oh, I didn't get 1 million likes. And so that happens. That's okay. You're not supposed to start with 1 million followers.
Right. And start with one network, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. Just focus on that one network until you can succeed and master it. And once you do, then you can start with the next one and the next one.
And a big part of succeeding and mastering that is getting the people who follow you there onto your email list. Because that's where you're going to make the sale most of the time. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of the social media is sort of like your storefront and your window shopping. And, the email list and the opt-in is where you actually have the in-store experience and make the purchase.
Most people come to me, they find me on social media, but then they say, what's your, email? We want to email you something. I say, okay, fine. I give them my email. Next thing I know, they're a client. Because of you've taken the direct interaction on social media and you've taken it offline to email, and now it's more intimate and it's more one-on-one. And that's what you're trying to do. Capture their email addresses. It's still a valid form of a sale.
Yeah. And I think it's even getting more popular again as people are just getting drained at the amount of social platforms there are to engage with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think people lost interest in email years ago, but it's really starting to come back again. And I think that one of the things that I think everybody should still be doing, and this is old school, but besides getting their email address, get their physical address, because that way you can actually mail to them.
Yeah, especially if, yeah, I haven't been doing that, obviously.
All right, I'm off.
You might not do it immediately. Like, it might not be like, boom, your first opt-in. Like, email that, because that might repel somebody. They might be like, well, I don't really know you. I don't want you to have my physical address. And so you might, first give them an opt-in chance. And then maybe when they go to purchase something, because they've made that decision that, I mean, if you're going to give a credit card information, why not just give the address and stuff, right? And so you might stage that out in a way that's not repulsive, because I know if I don't know somebody yet and their form, like I know HubSpot used to do this, which kind of, it took me a long time to get on their list, because so many of their opt-ins were like, what's your name, what's your email, what's your address, what's your business, how many employees do you have, all this stuff. And that's great market data, but for at least 6 months I was just like, I don't really want to give you all that information, because I don't know what you're going to do with it, and I don't know why it's relevant yet. Like, I'm not ready to buy into you so much to give you all that stuff. And so be aware of that too.
Although I've had people give me their credit cards and say, no, I don't give out my email address.
That is weird.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just an odd bird, I guess. But, we have a few more minutes left. And, if I see there's a few people that joined, if you have any questions, you want to go in the open seat down here, ask us a question, and we'll be more than happy to probably, scar you for life, but we'll give you the best answer we can. All right, she'll scar you. I won't.
Wow. Mean. I will not. I will answer your question like a nice person.
Well, yeah, it's because, you got 37 handshakes or claps or hearts or whatever. I got 0. So,
Because I don't scar people. See how that works? Which is a great lesson for social media. Don't scar people on social media. Be nice to them, and they'll like you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, guys. I think. Oh, it shows a caller. Hello. There we go.
Hi there.
Excuse me.
If you pass that on camera, that would be so not a good idea to do. I had a question around Facebook. So I read something, what was it, 2 weeks ago, around Facebook changing as we know it, not algorithm wise, but shifting to being only video or primarily.
I've heard that too, and I think that eventually the platform will be more video. But here's the problem: is that you ever watch the movie The Truman Show?
Yeah.
No.
People are getting so sick and tired of watching the same people over and over and over again in their videos. And as much as video sounds great, we still want written interaction. Nobody wants to watch a person 24 hours a day on video. And I think that the bandwidth that's required for all these videos, a lot of these cable services aren't going to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
So I think that, if they decide to do that, it's going to kill Facebook as we know it. And a lot of people are going to shift over to Instagram. They're going to shift over to, these other platforms. And that's just my opinion. I've read the same thing you'd have. I've read the opinions of others. And I think that's going to be a bad move for Facebook.
I think too that maybe some things were taken a little out of context. Maybe it was more about, because I know they're prioritizing video more, but it would be one of those transitions that is so wild that it would probably do more damage if they were to do that than not. Definitely, I know I'm keeping my ears and eyes open on that, but I don't think it would be beneficial for them to do that. Just because for years and years and years, we've been used to being able to post text updates and articles and photos. And if you remember, Facebook started out just being, share your update, share your life. And we don't always want to share it in video format. So yeah, I don't think it'd benefit them to essentially be YouTube.
One of the things that I was wondering, and I'm glad that you said YouTube, was like, how would SEO, how would that read SEO wise? I mean, with YouTube, of course, you have tags to help you syndicate it. But like, I was wondering, like, how would that read on Facebook?
Well, it's at this point, it's more in the realm of rumor than reality. So I don't know. I mean, I would guess maybe they would have more
tags.
Probably push advertising big time for the videos, and hashtags. They might revive that, but I really don't know at this point. It's a bit too early to know.
I know that they have made some adjustments. At least Facebook has, that you can't even add you used to be able to add your web link to the video. Now you have to add it actually in the description itself, because before the video would end, it would say for more information, and you could actually put your web link in there. You can't do that anymore. And I know that they are trying to roll out some more SEO features for Facebook. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it will be like YouTube, I find that YouTube, because they're owned by Google, the meta titles, the meta descriptions, everything that's inside your YouTube video can be searched within about 5 minutes after you make that live.
Right.
But with Facebook, it cannot be searched outside of Facebook, which kind of, if I'm looking for something on Google and I don't find the video I'm looking for and it's on Facebook, I'm never going to find it.
Right.
Even trying to search that video on Facebook is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Graph search isn't as fluid as they were sort of wanting it to be when it first came out. So yeah, I still if you think about it, if you go to look for a how-to video on something, you still default to going to Google or YouTube to find that. You don't default to searching a video on Facebook right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for answering my question. Let me hop on.
Well, thank you for joining the show. And before you depart, if you're not a member of our Facebook group, we have a Facebook support group for the Social Leverage Show, and you're happy to answer, or ask any questions that you want there, and we'll be, happy to answer them for you.
All right. I'll click on the link.
Devani will share the link down there, and go ahead and join.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Alrighty, and that is a wrap, guys, for Social Leverage number 11.
We'll see you.
I don't have enough fingers now to do that. I was gonna do 11, and that doesn't work.
You have your toes now.
Yep. All right, bye, guys. See you next week or next recording, however you're gonna watch this.